It's Hard to Believe, the podcast that brings you absolutely true but very hard to believe stories. I'm your host, G Wiz. Now let's get into it. Dance till you're dead. The famous choreographer, Martha Graham, once said, "A dancer dies twice, once when they stop dancing, and this first death is the more painful." It's hard to believe, but many people have danced themselves right into the grave. Does that count as one death or two? I'll let you decide. We will all have to dance with death sooner or later. I'm personally hoping for later. But for these unlucky, or in some cases unintelligent dancers, death cut right in. Based on my research, the most likely place to die while dancing is in India. A 19-year-old man died at a wedding reception while dancing. A 26-year-old man died while being filmed dancing at a private party. A 16-year-old girl died while dancing at a college freshman's party. And all of these events happened this year in India and were caught on film. It's hard to believe, but there were 4 more of the incidents like this in just 1 week. Death dancers aren't just limited to India, though. In England, in 2012, a 46-year-old IT manager died at an office party while dancing to Gangnam Style by Korean rapper Psy. I did say it was 2012. To make matters worse, yes, I know what you're thinking. What could be worse than dying at work while dancing to Gangnam Style? It's hard to believe, but the office party was to celebrate his wife's birthday. I'll bet she never forgives him for leaving early. Of course, these are all natural deaths. For example, the young Indian girl who died was diagnosed with a hole in her heart at birth, and most of these people were later discovered to have had cardiac arrests. But dancing yourself to death isn't just for the faint of heart. It's hard to believe, but plenty of perfectly healthy people die while dancing. In Detroit, in August of 2023, a partially clothed 62-year-old woman was in the southbound lanes of Freeway M39 without a vehicle. No one knows why the scantily clad woman was dancing in the street. Perhaps she just took the Martha Reeves hit literally. She also literally took a hit from an unknown driver who left her for dead at the scene. What could be dumber than dancing in the freeway? I'm going to tell you. In Houston, Texas, in November of 2022, a 25-year-old man came up with a not-so-great idea to garner more TikTok followers. He snuck up on top of a trailer being pulled by a semi-truck. The man waited until the tractor-trailer was driving down the interstate before he stood up on the moving vehicle to film himself dancing. Don't worry, he didn't fall off. He was pushed off by an overpass. A video taken by horrified onlookers showed that the man was looking backwards and didn't know what hit him. Houston Police Department spokesperson Jody Silva said, "We haven't had a case like this in quite some time." That's good news, I guess. It's hard to believe, but these stories don't even come close to the biggest dancing to death story of all time. Picture it, Strasbourg, 1518. At that time, Strasbourg was a free city within the Roman Empire. Today, it's just a town in France. It was a particularly hot July when a young woman named Frau Troffet inexplicably walked out into the street and started dancing. This was especially odd because earbuds had not been invented yet and there was no other music playing. That wasn't going to stop our Terpsichorean citizen, who proceeded to dance until she collapsed from exhaustion. By the way, Terpsichorean just means related to dance, and I'm probably the first person to use that term since 1800. She collapsed, but she was just resting. After regaining her strength, like a raver at a music festival, she went right back and continued dancing for the next few days. But now, at least she had company. Before the week was up, 30 more people had also begun uncontrollably dancing despite the silence, and would not stop even as they caused damage and injured themselves. I guess you could say they were the original break dancers. Alarmed by this disturbing trend, the town's leaders sprang into action. They formed a committee that pondered the problem and devised a plan to get the dancing fever under control. The solution? More cowbell. Well, sort of. They figured that the best way to stop the dancing was to throw a dance. I promise I am not making any of this up. They invited the town's musicians and dancers to come and help the afflicted by playing music and dancing with them. It's hard to believe, but that didn't work. In fact, it may have made the problem worse. Over the next 2 months, around 400 people became victims of this dance mania, and many of them died from exhaustion. Their backup plan wasn't much better. Dancers were given a small cross and red shoes. Yes, literally, put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Their backup plan was to ban dancing and music outright. That's why music and dancing no longer exist. It's really, really hard to believe, but this sort of thing used to happen from time to time. It's been documented in several towns throughout Europe between the 10th and 16th centuries. At that time, they assumed that demons were the cause of this dancing madness. Today, our best guess is that a fungal disease called ergot, which is known to grow on rye and can cause convulsions, was probably to blame. Ergot is also the fungus used to make LSD. So basically, if you see somebody dancing uncontrollably for no apparent reason, ergot probably has got a lot to do with it. You can find links and more information about this topic and our complete library at our website, hardtobelieve.blog. Thank you for listening. This has been Hard to Believe. I'm your host, G Wiz, asking you to please like and subscribe for exclusive content.